Welcome into the In the Money podcast for Friday, October 27th, Sea Blue Day at Keeneland. Tom Leach, along with Jim Goodman, Keeneland's Director of Mutuals and Simulcasting, as we take a look at the late pick four on the Friday card. The allowance feature is the 9th, but we'll start in the 7th with a turf allowance at a mile. And this is a pretty full field here without a real standout, I didn't think. Where did you land in this one, Jim?
I didn't think so either. I was every time we do the pick four, you try to find a single somewhere, and I did find it, but not in this race. I thought it was wide open. My top pick would be Douglas Road for Arnold Delacour. Had a really nice run at Kentucky Downs last out, finished behind Mr. Cup at 4-1, and Jimmy Graham takes the mount. I think that I think this horse has got a real shot here, and I love the Kentucky Downs horses coming to the turf at Keeneland. So that's a good angle. I'm also going to use Mongolian Grey Wolf, the 1. I'm going to use Rate for Me, the 4 for George Weaver, great turf trainer. I'm going to use the 9, One Last Strike for Michael Maker, only 4 times out, got a lot of room to improve, and just broke his maiden last time at Churchill. And also going to use Get a Valentine, the 11 on the outside for Florent Giroux. And throughout this sequence, I'm going to focus on the 4 jockeys that look like they've got a shot at the riding title. It's Giroux, Alvarado, Santana, and Le Peroux. So they're all within 1 or 2 of each other. So they're really going to try. Florent picked up a mount on Wednesday and got a win that he didn't expect to get. So I think it's going to be a tough race right down at the end.
I kept looking at this race, and the par figure, nobody has been running at that level. And so when I see a situation like that, I'm thinking, okay, this thing is ripe for an upset. So I'm going to try to find a little value play. And I ended up going to 6 shillings, the 2. Ran one of his best races here last fall at this distance. And he's working well for Catalano. He puts son-in-law Channing Hill on. So I'm going to try 6 shillings, but all the ones you mentioned pretty much are the ones I'm going to use with him. Get a Valentine, I like. I'm not wild about the post going a mile, but I like the horse. Mongolian Grey Wolf, Rate for Me. Those are probably my top 4. Douglas Road is next, and One Last Strike after that. Probably won't use all those when we get to the pick 4 ticket, but I will go as deep as possible in here. But 6 shillings is going to be a shaky win pick in the 7th. The 8th race is 2-year-old maiden fillies, and I wasn't high on any of the ones who had started in here, so I'm just going to say for the race, a 4-horse exacta box of first-time starters. Imitate the 7, NoHo the 8, who is a horse that came out of a 2-year-old sale at a big price earlier this year, and I always like that angle. Promissory Note the 4, and the 10, Miss Divine. 4 first-time starters, 7, 8, 4, 10, and just box those is my play in the 8th. How about you?
I went a little bit deeper than that. The first-time starters all look better, I think. The only exception, I think Clearwater ran a couple of good races, but at Presque Isle Downs, it's hard to figure out if that form transfers over to the dirt at Keeneland. But with a 68-67 buyer and 2 races under her belt, I'm going to use her. Promissory Note is Philly's got a lot of promise for Ingrid Mason. Has got a couple of really nice works. Bartlett Narrows, the 5 for Alvarado, with a really good 48-1 work on October 21st at Keeneland. Bodega Bay is a second-time starter for Ian Wilkes, and I always try to use him. He's always better second time out, so they got a race in this one at Churchill. Imitate the one you mentioned. And Miss Divine on the outside for Tom Morley just because of Lake Root. So I'm actually going to go 6 deep in here using 2 horses that have raced before, but 4 first-time starters.
Takes us to the 9th race, which is the allowance feature, non-winners of 2 other than at a mile on the turf for fillies and mares. Who did you go to here?
Okay, here's my single, and I don't know that it's a strong single. I don't know if I'd build a $200 ticket around it, but I think Burma Road for Ian Wilkes, if she runs her race here, I think she needed the last race at Churchill, and it's got the signs of a prep race maybe pointing to this one because she had been ultra consistent up until that race. And she gets the lead and fades at the end. Only got beat 3/4 of a length. Got beat by Lily's Dream, a nice filly who I think came back and ran well here. So Burma Road is my pick here. I think it just sets up well for her. She's got plenty of speed from the outside. I think Landeris can get her to the lead. And at the mile distance, she's 1-for-1. She's 1-for-2 at Keeneland. A lot of things point to Berman Road as my fairly obvious single here, but there are other horses in here that I would use in the trifecta with her. Proud Reunion for Tom Proctor. Always got to look at Proctor's horses. Peru is part of the entry for Maker and Ramsey. They always try to win at the end of the meet because Mr. Ramsey wants the owner's title again. I think Peru's really got a good shot. So I would use the entry. I would use General Kitten and Peru both, and Burma Road is my pick on top with Proud Reunion below that. So, but I am going to single there. I'm going to take a stand on the 9 Burma Road.
I took Proud Reunion. There's a strong race at Laurel that she comes out of. She beat Elders before that at Kentucky Downs, and Proctor has, with a very limited number of starters, has just been red hot. I think he's 2 wins and a second. His horses have run great. Burma Road is a must-use, as well as the entry that you mentioned. Another one you could consider is Brooks House. I think has run well. She's run well on this track before, in this turf course, and that's always a big plus. So within the race, I'm going to key off Proud Reunion and use those 3 in exacta boxes. The 10th race is fillies and mares. It's 20K claimers who haven't won more than a race. I'm focusing on Chasing Cars. The Asmussen Santana combo has been really strong. It's a big class drop and good works. But off the big class drop, not enough to single because that scares me a little bit. But sometimes you'll see it at Keeneland where people just love to win and they'll drop one. But I'm going to take Sales Call also and when I get to the pick 4. I think it's one of those 2. Lady Cleopatra, Twilight Agenda are the other ones to consider here in this race. So let's go to the pick 4. Starts in the 7th. I'm going to take 5 horses in there. 6 shillings, Mongolian Grey Wolf, Get a Valentine, Rate for Me, and Douglas Road. In the 8th race, I'm going to take those 4 first-time starters, 4, 7, 8, 10. I'm going to take Proud Reunion, Burma Road, and the 1-1A entry in the feature, and then Chasing Cars and Sales Call in the last leg. So that's 5 by 4, by 3, by 2, so $60 for 50 cents for my pick 4. I couldn't find a single that I was confident enough in. Now, I know you did, so what's your ticket look like?
Yeah, you got a pyramid play, 5 by 4, by 3, by 2. I went 5 deep in the first leg with 1, 4, 6, 9, 11. Mongolian Grey Wolf, Rate for Me, Douglas Road, One Last Strike, and Get a Valentine. So 5 deep there. Went 6 deep in the second race. It made the special week tough one for me. Promissory Note the 4, Bartlett Narrows the 5, Bodega Bay the 6, Emma Kate the 7, Clearwater the 9, and Miss Divine the 10. I am singling Burma Road, the 9 horse, in the feature race. And I'm going 4 deep in the 10th race with most of the horses that you mentioned. I think Chasing Cars is the top pick there with the 3. I'm also going to use the 8 Twilight Appeal, the 9 Fig Arlatha. Horse that comes out of Belterra, but I think he's got a shot there. And then Controversy on the outside for Tom O'Cat. Going to toss the last race and hope that was just an aberration because it's been pretty consistent since then, so she's got a shot. So I'm going to go 5 deep in the first, by 6, by single, by 4. So that's a $60 ticket, I think.
There's different ways to get to the same amount. So best of luck with your wagers on Friday. 1 day left after this to talk about, and we'll look at the Saturday card on our next edition of the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com.